All right, well, let me introduce you to this wonderful crew that we have here. First, we have Marissa Dacay, Global VP of Enterprise Marketing at Adobe. We have Nuri Cankaya, Head of Product Marketing at Snowflake.
Hi.
And Rick Tolman, VP of Global Media at HP. So I'm going to make them embarrass themselves real quick, but at LinkedIn, we have this tradition where we always ask everyone, tell me one thing that's not on your LinkedIn profile. So we're going to start with that. I'll kick it off, which is that I am a Ravens and Knicks fan, which is both very painful in this current moment. But that is something very true about me. I'll pass it to Marissa.
Sure. Even though this was now over 25 years ago, I was an extremely competitive gymnast in my adolescence. And I only bring it up because it just influences, even till this day, so much of my leadership and how I team.
Yeah. I'm a traveler, so while I was at Microsoft for 17 years, I did travel 109 countries. I have 6 active passports, which is not on LinkedIn. Wow. A lot of countries.
You know, I love this question because I've always thought LinkedIn needs one more required field on the profile. And that is, what really gives you credibility versus, the degrees and the pedigree of where you've worked and certifications. It's what famous celebrity are you related to, right? And you could even have Ancestry.com verify it, because if you're related to Taylor Swift, you're hired, right? So Marissa will laugh because she's from the islands, but for me, that one thing is, in the islands, you have to say who are you related to, and if you can claim someone that's somewhat famous. And so for me, I am related to, and I'm first cousins with, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's stunt double. Sorry, I drew that out a little bit, but that matters because the stunt double is his first cousin. And it's not like Dwayne goes around the world and just picks up a stunt double in Malaysia that looks like a Greek god. So his cousin is his stunt double. I'm first cousins with the cousin. Ancestry.com says that's not related. But in my heart and mind, we're related. We're best friends. And we're waiting for him to show up at the family reunion.
In Hawaii, that's related.
That's related. Marissa knows. Close enough.
I am so glad that we had this question. And I didn't expect to get product feedback on the panel, but good. All right, well, let's dive in. You heard from me a bunch about why video is really growing on the platform and why it's important on LinkedIn. Nuri, I'm going to start with you. Can you share a little bit from your perspective on why video is becoming essential for leadership in 2026?
I mean, specifically looking at the history of the communication, we clearly see video is the platform that gives the users small, let's say, window to really digest a lot of information because it's visual. It is more personal when we think about the video. Nobody knew me in the audience before that video. I believe they're thinking about hey, what's Snowflake? What do they do? But now you know better than in just 90 seconds. So I think the 2026 will be more about that genuine conversations happening, and specifically again, I will go back to AI multiple times, but I'm a huge believer of AI, and AI is making our lives way easier, especially producing those videos. It's a self-made production, and again, I will happy to share how I do it, but it's really really simple. 5 years ago, I believe I need an agency to code me $50K for a video like that. And now I can do it in 5 minutes, literally. So that's the change. I think the leadership is seeing that. So you don't need all the vast amounts of time to course correct and the tone. And it is also giving more genuine look to the company. So it's benefiting backwards at the same time. So again, the attention is the key thing for everyone. LinkedIn is definitely the platform go-to place for the professionals. And when you want to do B2B, that's the right format. Video is really driving impressions and also shares and also saves. Again, a lot of things we can discuss about the metrics.
Awesome. Thank you. And building on that, Rick, I think Nuri talked a lot about how video is making everything more human. And I think you've had a lot of experience in driving this across different companies that you've worked in the past. And I'd love to hear kind of how you've executed this.
Yeah, Nuri was the perfect example. You know, what's been crazy to see is how the leadership change and mentality around video, especially because to Nuri's point as well, in the past it was this highly curated experience, right, where it was often done through the lens of PR, legal, comms, media, and so it became these massive keynotes. And then today it's less about mediated and it's more about immediate. And the key that Yuri said too as well is you can do this with simple, authentic videos. And so one of the things that I've loved is with the evolution of the cell phone is just exactly what you saw there. And that's been kind of the phase gate drug for executives is don't let them think about the complications of having to do some keynote speech. Instead, just put a little camera in front of them and they can talk. Even good examples that you showed there with Satya as well is let them talk about something they're passionate about. They don't have to do some scripted, curated speech because what matters is more the authenticity. And that's what leapt off the screen with Nuri is you can tell that wasn't something that ChatGPT wrote up. It's him talking about what he's passionate about. It's Satya talking about the features that he likes. That's been the great transition was kind of the gateway drug to get the executives to do it is say, don't think about the past and this overproduction of getting these keynotes out. Think about and talk about what you're passionate about. Let's capture that on a cell phone. That registers is truly authentic to the users, and that's what captures more attention.
For sure. And I think, Marissa, I'd love to hear from you too, because I think there's been some specific examples at Adobe of messages that have worked in this similar vein.
Yeah, I mean, I would say exactly what you guys are saying around authenticity, the speed and the immediacy in which you can actually react to what's happening on the ground. I think some of the things we've seen be most effective for us is around our tentpole events. So we just did Adobe Max in Los Angeles in the fall. We'll do Summit out here in the spring. But we, when I think about video, yes, it's the things that we just saw up here, but we also did partnerships with like the Information TV. They have a new show. We actually did the first episode where we brought them on the ground to Adobe Max and we did live interviews and we even brought them around. The camera crew came around and we took them through some really cool activations. But then what that's allowed us to do is create episodic type of content, reuse that across both LinkedIn, on the Information, on their on-demand platform. So even when we think about video, extending it to those types of formats is where we've seen it be really effective around bringing these tentpole moments to a wider audience. But again, very specific point in time. I think from the leadership perspective, couldn't agree more with what's being said about authenticity, and then also getting leaders to talk about things they're really passionate about. One thing we've been doing that's really fun is this Future of Marketing series. You might see Rachel Thornton, our CMO for Enterprise. There's a series of her 15-second clips where she's just talking about what does the future of marketing look like in the era of AI. And we actually did the same prompt to other CMOs when we were hosting them at Adobe-led events, like our executive event we do in Pebble Beach, we do it in Switzerland. But we took that opportunity as CMOs were joining us for these events and brought a small camera crew with us and just said, can you spend 5 minutes with us and just have a conversation to camera about what do you think the implications are of AI? But then we get to cut those 5 minutes of filming into 10, 15-second videos that then we can proliferate across social and their own channels or our own. Again, just around a broad topic, but specifically future marketing and AI, and those have been the things that have been very effective for us.
Yeah, no, I love the concept of the series and how you've been able to break it into lots of different pieces of content. I'm curious if you can hear me over the helicopter. I'd love to talk a little bit about measurement, and if you could add to that how you've measured the success of some of these programs.
Yeah, I think in your keynote you were talking about full funnel, and we very much think of it that way. So if the future of marketing example, it's very much for us about thought leadership, which isn't just wide reach, because we have amazing ambassadors and influencers who can actually talk about the how Adobe helps you do what you want to do, right? So we're not in our kind of exact thought leadership video content, we're not looking for wide reach. We're looking for very specific trust building and influence of our executives and top to top relationships. So I'm on the enterprise side. So we're very specifically focused on are the accounts we care about and the decision makers we care about within those accounts interacting with the content from our president, from our CMO, from Shantanu, our CEO. And so I think those are measures that we look at, quality around engagement, which shares sentiment through the content. So yes, we want to make sure that we have reach and visibility and all the things, but then we go a click deeper to actually understand, is it reaching the people and the buying group that we care about the most?
And Nuri, I think you had some thoughts as well on metrics in terms of when you're posting videos, how you're thinking about how to measure success. Can you speak to that?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I love about the example Marissa gave is the content. So like, I mean, the intention is not promote a product. Like, as the executives of the company, like I'm really discussing this with all the VPs and EVPs in the company as well, making sure the audience gets something out of it. Like they have to tune in. And there are two specific buttons on LinkedIn. One is the share button. The second one is the save button. So it's not about impressions. It's not about likes. It's not even about comments. But if people are really finding it really useful, they save that. So, and that shows a really relevant follow-up metric for us. So that's number one. But this was an aha moment. I was the vice president at Intel for 2.5 years, and then we were pushing like Intel Core Ultra processors is the best. Like it was like mouthful of product names, and we shifted that to like AI PC. I mean, again, like it's very simple, and people can relate to that. And then we start asking people about like, hey, did you heard about this new term? And we asked all the executives to like say AI PC, not the product name, anywhere, and explain the use cases, explain the benefits to the users. And especially on a B2B marketing, it's all about the business outcomes. So back to your question, it's not about like my product is selling that much. It is all about like how many like audience are really interacting. When I say interacting, it's like the saves, the downloads. I will give an example, and like I have posted a video on like 2026 10 trends. I'm not saying get Snowflake for AI, but if you follow through the 90 seconds, I'm just saying AI cannot happen without data. But I haven't promoted Snowflake at all, but that interacted like 15,000 shares in the last week. So again, it's driving some engagement with that shares and saves.
You're pretty famous. All right, well, I'm going to back up a lot because I think that when I'm talking to my clients and our partners about executive thought leadership, I think the reality is they're all bought in that they should be doing it, and they're bought into LinkedIn, but where they struggle is how to get it done. And I'm going to turn this to you, Rick, but it doesn't happen by accident. There's a lot of work and convincing that can go into getting executive thought leadership on the platform, and not even thought leadership, just video. So would love to hear a little bit about how you've made that happen.
Yeah, I'll say it's, you saw great examples again there too, but it's helping the executives understand that micro videos, those are the new exec summaries. So just like they're asking the teams and members to come to them with the exec summaries, it's not overcomplicating what these videos are. And the reality is, if you think about it, like these videos, they can be small, passionate segments where our audiences in the era of AI generated everything, the human face and voice remains like that last bastion of proof of work, and we may not have that much longer too with deepfakes, right? But having that, even the handy cam, shaky cam, them talking about not just the pivots, what they love, and seeing that kind of human interaction, that's what's made it easier for my executives to work with, to say this isn't about overblown production acts of Congress to get it done, and then showing them really the reality is, it's thinking about it in a different context where it's having a simple coffee chat with 10,000 employees, and even starting with like internal comms, like Yuri did. That was a beautiful example where you're doing something as an internal communication, but it also can be, you can take that and, like Marissa said, compound that, take elements of that, and then share it externally as well. And so you have this, now you get the earned and owned impact of that as well. But it's not overcomplicating for the executives, especially given their time and their schedules. It's saying very simple micro moments with authenticity, but also vulnerability, like sharing what the learnings were end of the quarters report. And so some things we've tried to do in the past that have been really successful is like starting with like the town halls. Again, the coffee chat, 10,000 employees and 1 million customers at the same time. So we're letting them have that raw, candid feedback in a town hall, and then I'm taking excerpts of those and sharing some to LinkedIn that are positioned better for external markets. But that way these executives see this isn't something that it has to take a huge team and a lot of time. We still have those moments where we have the highly curated $50,000 commercial and or press release, but these micro elements and these micro videos are really about bridging the gap and having the executives feel that what they're comfortable with is having a conversation with your employee. Now you're having that same conversation with a million customers at the same time in a very simple, easy format for them as well.
Yeah, I love that. And I think similar question for you, Marissa. If there was one barrier you could break down to help get more executive content on the platform, or just in general, what would that be?
Going back in time, or having more time, or having no concept of time. I mean, we know that our execs have zero time. And so we've taken a lot of care in like, how do we just make it easy? And I think making it easy means making it something they feel passionate talking about. Internally, we've put a lot of effort into also, we want to make sure that when we're asking them to do something, especially internal Adobe executives, that they're not one-offing it also. Like, how do we make it easy to make sure they're aligned to the messaging architecture or the narrative that we're trying to tell through this year? So we've taken a lot of care, especially coming into this year. We just did company kickoff and sales kickoff, and we're like, these are the pillars. These are the 3 customer groups we're going after, the 4 solution pillars that we're reinforcing. We train the entire leadership team on it. So as we do these things that are 50-second clips, it's like, hey, talk to the marketing professionals about how they're reinventing their content supply chain. Boom. They've already kind of been trained on that. So that just makes the ease of, okay, how do I even frame this in the context of everything Adobe does aligned to a bigger picture kind of story. And then we've just done things with access, making like recording and studio time much easier, bringing the studio on the road where the execs already are, maximizing their time when they're already coming with us, whether it's to a roundtable, a customer briefing, an exec event. We've also at our headquarters in San Jose, we built a studio on our 14th floor, and it's self-serve. You can reserve it. There's a full like video in there. So far, we either want to take an exec in there, or there's a moment where we need to grab them and do something quickly. We have the space that's always there to do that. So just kind of thinking about, they don't have time, so how do we maximize the time that they are giving us and then make it super easy and also not so, I don't know if you guys experience this, but like lights, camera, action can alone just be like, I don't want to do this. And so when you make it feel more informal, whether it's with iPhone or you're building it out a little bit more informally, I actually think we've seen a lot of folks who typically don't like doing these things. They feel a little bit more at ease and are open to it.
I mean, I personally think that informal, more human content is the best performing and the most engaging. We only have a few more minutes, so I'd love to just do a quick round robin here of just a piece of advice you'd have for the audience and these marketers on how to either best show up with video on LinkedIn or how you're guiding your executive teams this year and yourselves.
I mean, I can start just building up on what Marissa said. So, like, creating the content is like a step, but like it has to be easy. So one of the things that as a growth hack I do is podcasts. So like at Intel, I started at Snowflake. I also invested because podcasting gives you like an exact 50 minutes talk. It's unscripted, but you can extract that recording, because in order to have a good podcast, and again, we do LinkedIn Lives and we will do more hopefully, but like those videos are the raw material. We can get the right clips because the sound quality is high. There is like a good lightning, and that's the core thing. So you can extract those data. So my maybe quick advice will be like leverage the full features of LinkedIn. Like again, you can use the long format with LinkedIn Live, which is again like the users love, but also leverage some of the media. Like I mean, out of that. Using AI, generate a carousel like 10 pages. People love to share carousel files. It's really, again, like nanoseconds learning. It's not even microseconds anymore. But like really fast forward, people love to share those things, going back to the thing. And then when you put that vertical video, again, like the format really matters. I mean, again, I was just using a regular format, which we used to have on YouTube for a long time, but TikTok changed the game, and then now every industry, including LinkedIn, is like prioritizing. We are always like fighting against the algorithms learning. So when you have a vertical video and all the tools, we use Adobe tools, like they provide that cropping function, it makes it more visible for everyone. So my quick advice will be leverage the full functionality on LinkedIn, start with an article, do a LinkedIn Live, do a carousel, and finally post that 90-second video, and don't exceed 90 seconds. Like 60 is a better, like even timing for those vertical videos.
I'll double underscore that as well. And for any of you that are thinking, you know, my executives will never do that, my advice would be is kind of what Marissa said as well, is making sure that the executives understand that audiences aren't looking for a paid actor. They're not looking for someone that's manufactured, especially, again, in the era where our customers are used to, like, overly scripted, chat GPT, AI, everything. They want that authenticity. And so some of the easy ways to be able to do that is help them build that muscle motion of getting comfortable with doing these intimate micro videos. And it can be starting with, you know, internal team comms and letting them do a weekly review. And then as the teens say, let them build, you build out a format where they're sharing their context about the product or a value prop. And then as the teens would say, you clip them. You clip them, you take that little segment, you throw it over 15 seconds on LinkedIn, and then you can show them that value. Because even some executives, again, Rich said this, it's like they're hesitant. They feel they've got to be keynote ready. So helping them just build that, get them in the gym of using the phone and giving simple messages to internal teams, clip them, the right elements, and start sharing that and showing, to your point, you'll see that those videos that are authentic and real and they're immediate, those will outperform your $50,000 videos like 10 to 1. And that will help them feel more comfortable in their skin.
I'll just say, at the end of it, we're all consuming video that we love. So pay attention to what is the thing that you're saving, what's the thing that you're sharing, and how do we use these videos, whether they're 15 seconds or 90 seconds, to storytell. What is the message that you're able to tell that someone can't read about you? I think what our execs forget is that people are tuning into them because they have experiences, they have stories, they have insight. There's texture and flavor that you can add in a video that you can't get from a blog post. So how are you bringing that to life in some of these videos? And then, of course, with 15 seconds left, use Adobe products because it makes everything Nuri just did amazingly easy, and things like Adobe Express make it super snappy.
Great way to end it. Now I appreciate it. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. I learned a lot. I hope you all did as well. And I think that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.